Hi everyone, my name's Amy. I am a holistic coach from Amy Elizabeth Coaching, and today's video is all about helping you to really understand anxiety and then how to eventually eliminate it. So what I'm going to talk about is what anxiety actually really is. I'm share with you my story and my experiences with it and overcoming it, and then also give you some steps and helpful tools to be able to change your experience of anxiety or heal and eliminate it now. Steps that you can actually take today watching this video. So first of all, what actually is anxiety? And what it is, it's an unconscious reactive behaviour which is coming from a hidden fear of something in the future. So this could be a minute in the future, or it could be long term in the future. And what is actually happening is a part of us, so our psyche is made up of lots of different parts, which is why often you might feel split on something. A part of you is reacting one way and a part of you feels another way about it. So all it is that a part of us is in fear. It feels unsafe or something, and when it's triggered, when that fear is triggered, that part creates anxiety. It creates that expression of that reactive behaviour of anxiety in order to get our attention or to try to protect us. So this part actually believes that it is protecting us in this way. So there's a few reasons why many people struggle or get frustrated with anxiety and struggle to reduce it or manage it. And the first reason for this is because it's unconscious. So in the beginning, we don't necessarily know why this part of us is reacting, and we don't really know why we've been triggered. We just suddenly feel it, and we feel it in the body as a reaction. So because it's unconscious, often it means that because we're unaware, it's difficult to be able to then change it. Often another reason is because it can create such an intense feeling that we try to fight it or we try to push it away because it doesn't feel good. And when we do this, what actually happens is we're rejecting the part that's created the anxiety, that believes it's trying to help us. So if it's trying to get our attention because that part's in fear, and we fight it, push it away, try to ignore it, try to distract ourselves, that's why the actual anxiety seems to get worse, because we're dismissing this part that's in fear. So like I said, that's why if we distract, even if we're distracting with healthy practices like trying to meditate or go for a walk, for example, often it won't work in that moment because we're still dismissing that part, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, of how you can acknowledge it instead, which will help to lessen the anxiety reaction. And the other reason is shame. So a lot of the time we don't realise we're doing this, but we actually shame ourselves for feeling that way, for experiencing the anxiety, because another part of us knows that we're actually safe, and whatever we're experiencing the anxiety around or about, another part of us knows that it's irrational often, and so that part judges us for the reaction of anxiety, and so we have a little bit of shame that we're carrying around with it, which gets in the way until we heal it. So instead, what we have to do is to understand the part that's reacting with anxiety. We need to understand it, and then we need to heal it. And that's what I do as a coach, and that's what I did for myself when I work with my coach, and I managed to completely eliminate anxiety from my life. And it was something that I would experience on a daily basis at times, or with quite severe reactions every now and then. So you can actually change this, but I do feel that you need the right tools and techniques to be able to do it. So what I'm going to talk to you through now is how to actually change the reactive behaviour of anxiety. So the first thing you need to do is to remember that we are a multifaceted being, and our psyche is in parts. So just by using this language, part of me, will really help create space when you're experiencing anxiety. So next time you feel the anxiety bubbling up, try just saying, I can see or I can feel that a part of me is anxious right now. And that just gives you space. Yes, it might feel like a big part, and that's okay, but it won't be all of you. There is always another part that can come in to help you. So using that language and recognizing as part, and it's just a part of you reacting, will give you the space to be able to then come in to heal that part. The second thing to do is to acknowledge. So instead of distracting yourself, instead of fighting with it and saying this is ridiculous, come on, you're fine, whatever it is that you have been doing, instead acknowledge the part. Imagine, because often it is, imagine it's a young part. It might be an inner child. It can be a young part of us that experienced trauma and it's reacting now, and it doesn't matter. We don't need to go back. We don't need to look at any traumas, although if you feel like that's helpful, so often it can be. And so make sure you get the right person to do that with. But it's not about that. If you can recognize that this is just a part and it's in fear, then we can treat it with a little bit more compassion. And when it's in fear, it's learned to react with anxiety to get your attention because it's afraid and it needs your support. So instead of dismissing, practice acknowledging the part and just say, I can see, I can feel you're anxious right now. I can see it, I can feel it, I'm here, I'm noticing you. Just try saying that to that part as if you're trying to talk to it from another part of you, and see the anxiety should start to lessen. And the more you get into the habit of doing this, the more this part feels acknowledged by you, the less it will need to react. And this is really what this work is about long term. It's learning to support all parts of us, understand them, understand why they're reacting, and heal them. And the way we heal them is using another part of us, where we parent that part and support it and give it what it needs so it's no longer afraid to step out into the world. And then the third thing is to share. So often we do have some shame around this. So the first thing you can do to start to dilute that shame is to share your experience with somebody. Now, it's really important to make sure that you share this experience with somebody who actually deserves to hear it. So this needs to be somebody that you trust, somebody that's going to hold space for you rather than come in with their judgments and their opinions. You just want them to be a sounding board for your story, where you can explain, do you know what? I experience anxiety in these situations when this happens, etc., etc. And for me, it's like this. And by speaking about it, you'll dilute any shame that a part of you is attached to. So just make sure, like I said, that you're not going to share this with somebody who's going to try and fix and save you, somebody you might be very close to emotionally, might not always be the best person, but somebody that you know, it could be somebody close to you, but you just want to make sure that that person is going to hold the space and almost be that sounding board for you and acknowledge you rather than jump in trying to fix and save and give you all these solutions, because this isn't about that. This is just about you being heard. And then the fourth part is, with time, practice getting to know that part of you. So you can do this in many ways. I guide my clients through it through coaching, but you can meditate, you can visualize, you can journal. And I just want you to try to get to know this part. Ask it what it wants. What does it need? And what is it afraid of? And then you might start to notice when it gets triggered and see if you can get to the story underneath the story. For me, my anxiety was attached to a story of being unlovable. And so it would be triggered around situations that I felt out of control and that I felt like I wasn't going to experience the love. And this part was in fear that it was unlovable and that something was going to go wrong because of that, or I was going to be left, or etc. So by understanding that, I was then able to come in and have compassion for that part of me that I was actually very young, and treat myself with more love and compassion and support that part and help her feel safe and secure and loved. And then the anxiety wasn't necessary anymore because that part was supported by me. It felt safe with me, so then I was able to step out without the reaction. So just with time, figuring out what it needs. And this is kind of just comes down to that self-love, that self-care, acknowledging and supporting, etc. And that's probably what that part of you wants and needs from you. And so you can do this with practice and time and find the way that works best for you. And this is just why I love holistic coaching. This is what it's taught me and how I help my clients now. So if there is one big takeaway for you to get from today, it's this, and that is compassion. It is a part in pain, so try to have compassion for it, this part of you that's in pain. And then when you can love it and understand it in time, it will relax and soften, because it feels supported by other parts of you. But this has to be the internal work. Nobody else can do this for you. Yes, someone like me as a coach can guide you through the process, but it's in time, it's learning to support yourself with another part of yourself that is able to do that. So please subscribe if you liked this video, and send me any comments or questions below and I will try and get back to you. But I hope this was helpful. I know how painful anxiety can be at times, and I really want this message to reach people that there is a way. If you are looking for it, you will be able to heal yourself from this reactive behaviour. Thanks for watching, guys.